Ladies and gentlemen, our guest of honor, Chevy Chase.
In September 2002, Chevy Chase sits at the front of a room in New York City. He is there to be roasted.
I'm thrilled to be hosting tonight as we roast Chevy Chase.
That is what the invitation said, a celebration of his career.
Does he have a career?
A room full of his peers taking their best shots. The roast had an unusually hostile tone, and several prominent former collaborators were absent. Among those who did appear, Stephen Colbert performed in character as Chase, giving what he framed as a self-eulogy. The lines, as widely reported from the evening, "a humorless husk of my former self."
A humorless husk of my former self, haunting the halls of Hollywood like some sort of walking, waking cautionary tale. Comedy lamprey just sucking the joy out of everything I touch.
Beneath his sunglasses, Chevy Chase was reported to be crying. He later said that he agreed with everything that had been said.
I agree with everything that's been said.
This is the story of how a performer widely regarded at his peak as one of the most talented comedians of his generation became someone that most of that room no longer wanted to know. His real name is Cornelius Crane Chase. He has used the professional name Chevy Chase for most of his career. He is born into old New York money. By his own account, his family had deep roots in New York society. Chase later said that his mother named him after her adoptive father, Cornelius Vanderbilt Crane, an explorer and philanthropist connected to the Crane industrial family, hoping the connection might secure an inheritance. Chase said that expectation was not fulfilled. Chevy's childhood is not what the money suggests it should be. He remembers being woken in the middle of the night and slapped continuously by his mother.
Your mom would walk in the middle of the night and slap you while you were sleeping?
Yes, that's true.
Not once. Not occasionally, repeatedly, hard across the face.
You're sound asleep and she smacked you in the head.
Across the face.
Across
bam,
the
bam, 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 bam.
Oh, a lot of times.
A lot of times.
Oh, yeah.
She would send the children outside to select branches from trees, which she would then use to hit them, or so Chase has claimed, though this specific detail has not been corroborated by other sources. Chase later recalled being involved in a knife incident at 14.
Pulling a knife. So you clearly had a lot of anger.
Yeah, at this guy, he was always beating me up, so I took a knife in.
And that stopped him from beating you up.
Yeah, I just sort of finished it.
Being suspended and being confined by his mother while the school decided his fate. By his own account, the details included a mattress, a pitcher, a small desk, a lamp, and 2 barred windows. These details come from Chase himself and have not been independently verified. He was eventually expelled and transferred to a school in Massachusetts. Something shifts. He becomes valedictorian. By his account, he plays piano, drums and keyboard in a band. He goes to Bard College. He starts to become someone new, but the childhood does not disappear. It changes shape. The man who spent his life making people laugh by being sharp and untouchable learned certain tools very young. From someone who was supposed to protect him. That is not an excuse for what follows. It is a context, and context matters. Because what follows is quite something.
We need a plan. Let's play dead.
When Chevy Chase finishes college, the Vietnam War is still taking men. He does not want to go. Chase later said he claimed homosexual tendencies in his draft paperwork and used other tactics to avoid service, including sleep deprivation before his physical. He was ultimately classified unfit for service. He moves to Los Angeles, writes for the Smothers Brothers television show, and meets a young comedian named Steve Martin. In 1973, he joins the National Lampoon Group and performs in their stage show, where for the first time he works alongside John Belushi. And then, on October 11, 1975, Chevy Chase walks onto the set of NBC's new late-night program, Saturday Night Live. He is 32 years old. He has never been on television. He became the original Weekend Update anchor and later that first season became associated with the land shark character. one of his early lines from that desk.
This afternoon, Evel Knievel successfully jumped his Harley-Davidson motorcycle over 14 Greyhound buses.
In 1976, he received 2 Emmy Awards, 1 Shared Writing Awards and 1 Individual Performance Award. New York Magazine suggests he could replace Johnny Carson as the host of The Tonight Show. Carson is widely reported to have responded that Chevy Chase could not ad-lib a fart after a baked bean dinner, though the exact source of the quote varies by account. Public opinion disagrees. For a brief period in 1975 and 1976, Chevy Chase is widely regarded as one of America's leading new comedy performers. After his first season at Saturday Night Live, Chevy Chase does something almost nobody does. He leaves. He has not finished his second season. He has Emmys. He has the cover of magazines. He has offers coming in from Hollywood. And he decides that is enough. He walks out the door and into the movies. His early films, including Foul Play and Caddyshack, established him as a major comedy star. He was the first original SNL cast member to achieve major film star status. He is reported to have passed on other projects during this period, including Animal House, which stars John Belushi and becomes one of the most profitable comedies ever made. About Animal House and what happened to Belushi, Chevy is reported to have made a joke, though the quote has not been confirmed from a primary source. Had I taken that role, he reportedly said, "I could have made the kind of money that killed Belushi." Belushi died of a drug overdose in 1982. He was 33 years old. The remark was later reported as a joke, although its wording and original context are difficult to verify. Within SNL, the damage is already done. Some accounts describe tensions between Chase and Belushi over material, status, and personality clashes within the cast. And when Chevy returns to host the show 2 years after leaving,
it's very much fun to be back.
Bill Murray is waiting for him.
Oh, good.
Accounts agree that Chase and Murray had a backstage confrontation before Chase hosted in 1978, but they differ on the exact remarks and whether blows were exchanged. Belushi is reported to have intervened. The show went on. It is only the beginning. Through the late 70s and into the 80s, Chevy Chase constructs a very specific public persona. He is the sarcastic one.
That's my specialty.
The one who does not take anything seriously. The one who is always the funniest person in the room and knows it.
Want a horse around?
In film after film, he plays a version of the same character, slightly smug, slightly superior.
We're movie stars.
Never changed by the events of the story, never genuinely humbled. The same man at the end that he was at the beginning. Quentin Tarantino watched this and named what he saw. On the Joe Rogan Experience, he said, in substance,
Chevy Chase is the same supercilious asshole at the end of the movie that he is at the beginning. He never changes in his stuff.
Some colleagues and critics saw overlap between that persona and Chase's public reputation. In 1980, during an appearance on Tom Snyder's NBC program Tomorrow, Chase was asked about comparisons being made between himself and Cary Grant. Grant is, Chevy says, brilliant and elegant. But, Chevy adds, he was also a homosexual. This is not an observation, it is a joke at Grant's expense, a cruel, casual dismissal of one of the most respected actors in American history. Cary Grant sues him for $10 million. The suit is settled out of court. Reported settlement figures vary. Director Chris Columbus, brought in to work on National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, goes to dinner with Chevy during pre-production. Columbus later recalled telling John Hughes that he did not believe he could make the film with Chase. The exact wording of that conversation varies by source. On the set of Three Amigos, a serious conflict erupts between Landis and Chase, reportedly involving an alleged reference by Chase to the Twilight Zone film accident in which a helicopter stunt went wrong and killed 3 people, including 2 child actors. Accounts differ about the exchange and about how the participants understood the remark. In 1986, Chevy Chase enters rehabilitation. Contemporary reports attributed the admission to dependence on prescription painkillers related to a back problem. Chase had also publicly discussed earlier cocaine use.
Yes!
The behavior that follows does not suggest a man changed by the experience. By the late 80s, he is hosting the Academy Awards.
Good evening, Hollywood phonies.
He is still being invited back to Saturday Night Live as a host.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night!
And on those productions and others, the same patterns keep appearing. Terry Sweeney later alleged that during Chase's 1985 SNL hosting appearance, Chase approached him with a pitch. "We say you have AIDS and we weigh you every week." Sweeney said Chase apologized afterward. Chase disputed that the incident happened as described. In 1997, Chase is reported to have struck cast member Cherry O'Terry during rehearsal. Will Ferrell raises concerns with Lorne Michaels. Chase has not hosted SNL since and has been widely described as effectively barred, though a formal ban has never been publicly documented. He does not have the movies to go back to anymore. Several of his 1990s films underperformed and his film star profile declined. The Chevy Chase show on Fox was canceled after a short run. His response to the cancellation is not self-reflection.
Where am I supposed to go now?
The quote widely attributed to him, though not confirmed from a primary recorded source. "I am an intelligent and articulate person. You cannot imagine how stupid the world I inhabited is." The year is 2002. The Friars Club has been roasting celebrities for nearly a century. The format they invented is now everywhere on American television. It is reportedly Chevy Chase's second time being roasted by the club. The 2002 roast had an unusually hostile tone. Several prominent former collaborators did not attend. Among those who did, one comedian is widely reported to have said something close to, "I don't know Chevy Chase. I have never met him."
I don't know Chevy Chase. I have never met Mr. Chase.
Comedian Greg Giraldo, in a line widely reported from the evening, observed that an O.J. Simpson roast would have drawn more star power.
An OJ roast would have drawn more star power.
What landed hardest were not jokes. They were observations about the relationships that had ended, about the career that had stalled, about the man who arrived at the height of American comedy and somehow ended up here. Chevy sits through all of it. When it ends, he takes the microphone and says,
I agree with everything that's been said.
He goes home. The roast did not immediately reverse his declining professional relationships. In 2009, Dan Harmon creates Community and serves as its showrunner. The show is a comedy series about a community college study group. The series includes a character called Pierce Hawthorne, an aging, out-of-touch, occasionally bigoted millionaire who cannot understand why nobody in the group likes him.
You just give me the pillows.
Harmon casts Chevy Chase to play him. It is, by most accounts, an act of either extraordinary creative vision or catastrophic misjudgment, possibly both. On screen, Chevy is widely praised. Many critics and viewers found his performance as Pierce genuinely effective, a character that requires someone who plays obliviousness from the inside. Whether Chevy had to act is something the cast and audience debated. The role's arrogance and social obliviousness made the casting feel, to some viewers and colleagues, uncomfortably close to Chase's public reputation. Off-screen, things go differently. Harmon and others associated with the series later described recurrent conflict with Chase during production. Harmon alleged that Chase directed racially inappropriate remarks at Donald Glover, one of the show's stars, on multiple occasions. Chase's response to the race allegations references the 1975 SNL word association sketch in which he said the N-word directly to Richard Pryor on live television.
Nigger. Dead hunky.
The specific framing Chase used in later interviews has not been confirmed verbatim from a primary recorded source. According to contemporary reporting, at the cast party at the end of season 3, Harmon starts a chant directed at Chevy. Chevy leaves the party. He goes home and records a voicemail. He leaves it for Dan Harmon. Chase leaves Harmon a profanity-filled voicemail attacking his writing and his appearance and warning him about his health. Harmon plays the voicemail at a live show. Chevy Chase's voice, in his own words, fills the room.
I hope you're ready to take your medicine, you fat You didn't give us a script to begin with, so nobody knew what the would go on during the week. Second of all, you're goddamn bad was an abomination, and your writing is getting worse and worse, so suck my cock. I don't get talked to like that by anybody, certainly not in front of my wife and daughter. You goddamn alcoholic fat shit. You're gonna live to be about 57 if you're lucky the way you eat. I got nothing to say to you except you can suck my cock. Is that clear? And I'll even play that for everybody around you who agrees with you that you should say you in front of all of those people, to me and my family. You think that's the right way to behave? If you were here right now, I'd kick your teeth out.
I doubt that.
You're nothing to me. You're a billion of who I've worked with before. You're not funny. You're okay.
Chase's departure was announced during the show's troubled fourth season.
We have parted ways with our closest, oldest, craziest, most racist, oldest, elderly, crazy friend.
And Pierce was later killed off in season 5.
And he's not coming back.
Chevy Chase's time on Community was finished. After Community, Chevy Chase has one remaining goal. He wants to host Saturday Night Live again. Chase later recalled approaching Lorne Michaels at his daughter's wedding, stopping him. He said, as the wedding party was waiting to tell him he was ready to host again, Michaels says no. Chevy cannot understand it. It is like denying, he says, that I was the guy who made this show really go in that first year. It is like taking all of that away from me. In 2025, Saturday Night Live celebrates its 50th anniversary. The stage fills with cast members across 5 decades. Chase was present at the SNL 50 celebrations, but he was not included in the televised performance lineup.
I expected that I would have been on the stage too with all the other actors. No one asked me to. Why was I left aside?
He later said he did not understand the decision. He is in his 80s. The offers have stopped. The calls have stopped. In 2026, a documentary is made about him. Director Marina Zenovich spends considerable time with him on camera, trying to understand who the real person is behind the decades of incidents and departures and burned relationships. Chevy Chase's response to the documentary, to the decades of people describing the same experience of him, to the roast and the banning and the empty room, is consistent and unchanging. I have already done what I have done. I cannot change anything, and I am proud to be who I am. Here is what Chevy Chase had. He had, by the near-universal account of people who watched him at the beginning, some of the fastest and sharpest comic timing of anyone on television. The people who saw Weekend Update and The Landshark and the physical comedy and the effortless deliver, they were not wrong. He was, by that measure, extraordinary. He had the first mover advantage in a genre that did not exist yet. He could have been the template for what a comedy star looked like in America for the next 30 years. He had a roster of collaborators who were among the most talented people in entertainment history: Belushi, Murray, Aykroyd, Martin, Guest, Harmon. His relationships with several of them became strained or openly hostile, although the details differed from person to person. The money came. The fame came. The Emmys came. The magazine covers came, and then one by one the people went. Not because he was not funny, but because, by the accounts of several former colleagues, his behavior repeatedly created professional conflicts that cost him the relationships. The pattern, as several former colleagues describe it, is of a performer whose talent did not prevent repeated professional conflicts, a performer whose public interviews and reported conduct suggest a persistent need to control the tone of the room, and who never made peace with the fact that being funny and being decent are not the same thing. He could make you laugh. He could not make you stay. Stephen Colbert said it better than anyone: a humorless husk, haunting the halls, sucking the joy out of everything he touches.
A humorless husk of my former self, haunting the halls, sucking the joy out of everything I touch.
The tragedy is not that Chevy Chase was cruel to people. The tragedy is that he was talented enough that it mattered. If this video found you, you already know what channel is about, not the version of these stories that the publicists approved, not the retrospective where everyone is forgiven because enough time has passed. The real version. If you haven't watched our video on Chris Farley, a man who came up through the same world as Chevy Chase, who wanted the same things, and who was widely remembered by colleagues as generous and beloved, that is linked below. The contrast between the two tells you something important. Talent is not the variable. It never is. Subscribe if you haven't. One more person who needs to hear this. Share it with them, because Chevy Chase is not just a cautionary tale about Hollywood. He is a cautionary tale about what happens when you spend your whole life performing who you are instead of figuring out who you actually want to be. He had every tool. He just never used them on himself.